You're listening to the Full-Time Function Musician Podcast, the #1 resource for growing your function musician business. If you're a solo wedding singer, part of a 12-piece luxury show band, or anything in between, and want to learn from other successful musicians, you're in the right place.
You're listening to the Full-Time Function Musician Podcast, and on today's episode, I'm super excited to be joined by professional guitarist, teacher, and author, Dan Lundholm. Dan, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
I've said this before on the podcast, but I always love it when people who listen to the podcast get in touch because they have some valuable information to share with the community. And Dan is one of those people. So I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about you. And we've got a good little list here of topics that I don't think that we've covered really before as well. So man, let's get into it. First things first, tell us a little bit about who you are and kind of where you got started in the industry.
So I'm from Sweden, and I've been here in Brighton now since 2003. So that was I started gigging. So I started like private lessons and stuff like that in school.
Yeah.
But then I went to music college in Sweden when I was like 16, something like that. And then I started gigging in restaurants during that time as well. But then as soon as I finished there, I started gigging around Europe, basically. Mainly like acoustic guitar and singing. Mm-hmm. So I was building my repertoire there, but I've been playing jazz and, complicated stuff in college. But once you got out and started working in, as they call it here, the function band world, what I was doing was like troubadour. They call it troubadour in Sweden. I don't know what. Okay. It's like a solo performer, Yeah. I was doing a lot of duos, but like acoustic guitar, bars, singing Mustang Sally with one guitar, basically. So you kind of, all that stuff you learned it was just put to the side because it's about, entertaining people and, it's not about Lydian anymore. It's about drinking beer and like having a good time and making sure everyone's happy, So it's I did that for quite a long time. I didn't really enjoy singing, but it was like I had to sing to get gigs, basically. I'm from Stockholm, so you think that there'd be gigs there, but there was like no band gigs at all.
I was going to ask, like, what? I mean, I know you've been here for quite a long time now, but what is the sort of music scene and function scene like in Sweden?
It's not there. It doesn't really exist. It's so like there's more people inside the M25 than in Sweden, and Sweden is like 4 or 5 times the size of the UK. Yeah. So I know bands there that they were kind of gigging, but they were saying like we just out there paying for the few to get from one gig to another. It's so difficult to be a professional musician there. I mean, it might be different now with the internet and you can do stuff like that, recording at home. It's a different world now, but back then it was just like if you wanted to gig, you had to be a singer and you had to just book yourself singing and playing in bars, all around the country. So I was doing that, but because it wasn't working, because of the scene was so small, I started going to like Greece and so Greece in the summer, find a restaurant there and just play a bar really, and then I'll go to like Val d'Isère, like the French Alps and the Swiss Alps, in the winter for like doing the after ski thing. So I was doing that, and basically it was just full-time party. And then I came here in 2003, so I was doing that for about 6 years or something. So when I started the college here, I was like 25 and everyone else was like 18, 19. And it was in a way, it was sold to me as like, well, you can play those kind of gigs, but we're going to make you a professional. You know, that's how they sold the kind of course.
Yeah.
And the reality was that nobody who came there had been doing gigs. They just came from the parents' house, you know. So they were like where I was when I was doing the college degree in Sweden. So that was a bit like, and I basically, I didn't really want to sing anymore. I wanted to like just play guitar because I was like, I'm not really a singer. I can't like, all the songs had a bit go down a third or whatever. And it just doesn't sound like the real song anymore. And I've met a few good singers by then. And I was like, right, yeah, maybe this is not for me, you know? So I was just doing the guitar course there. And then after about a year or so, because I was older than all the other kids, I was a bit further ahead than them. So I started like talking to the guy who was running the place there and complaining about a few things, and he basically took me on to like help out with the course there. So he was like more like you go from one lesson to another, and it was like a different theory. So one teacher would be teaching 3-note string, and the next one would be teaching Cage, which was like in 2003. Cage was only 2 years old. That came out in really early 2000, and people were talking about it. So I basically put together a new course based on Caged, and I developed these scale theories and stuff, and then I started teaching this. I was teaching and being a student at the same time, which was a bit weird.
Yeah.
But I wasn't the first to done that. Like there was a guy called Paul Bielatovich who had done that previously. Basically, the college was like the guy who was running ACM left and set up this new college. So he took a lot of people with him.
Do you remember his name? Because I used to go to ACM as well, and I'm sure.
Right, yeah. So it's a guy called Bruce.
Oh no!
But this is like early 2000.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then he took a bunch of people from there to take with him down to Brighton and started this place. And it was, you know, it was all done on like imagine you put together a wedding band and you put together the video and you do a promo for it. It's all about the marketing, but there isn't actually a band.
Yeah.
Like you'll solve that once there's a gig. You know, that's how kind of they made this college.
Yeah.
And you had like people putting together courses in their own like unique way, and then they fucked off, and now someone else was trying to teach their unique thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the idea of, which I understood much later, of like having different perspectives. So you go to one guy and he tells you about it from his perspective, and then the next class, someone tells you, that's good. But the reality was that you had one guy covering someone that had left. So the book made no sense to what they were teaching. It was just chaos, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, you know, I had Guthrie Govan as my teacher for 3 years, so I'm not complaining. It was incredible, but there was no structure.
Yeah.
I was kind of learning the Cage thing myself and developing it. And, you know, I turned it into like this scale theory, which is Cage to pentatonics to modes. And, I basically developed that theory as I was writing that course. And then I was thinking that, you know, to solve this problem of the chaos, if you recorded the lessons on video, so this is before YouTube, then everyone who comes there will, even if the teacher isn't great, at least they have this video library of old lessons. And if Guthrie is not there for a year, at least they have like 2 or 3 years of Guthrie lessons that they can access as a bonus for being students there. And they didn't like that at all. They were like, that's a terrible idea. We don't do computers here.
Yeah.
Because it was all about having amps. You know, no one was using in-ears. It was all amps, big amps, 4x12 kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was all about like starting your own band. And the scene here was like, it was no function bands. Function bands was like, nobody wants to do that shit. Yeah, you should have your own thing, and there's a music industry, and everyone that was working there had been in the industry in the 90s. So I was in a band with a guy who in the 90s he had been in bands that were on labels. He'd gone from one to another, but none of the records that they recorded, which had like £1 million budget, were ever released.
Yeah.
So his career was like being on the bench, you know. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, lots of stories like that.
Yeah, and then the whole industry changed with iTunes and everyone, you know, ripping stuff changed. And I got into a band towards the end there as well, and we were signed, or the singer was signed rather, and that was kind of the last thing with bands, like 2009, something like that. And we made an album, but it got shelved, and the MD got dropped, and it all fell apart, you know. And then since then, everything's changed, and function bands is now like what everyone's doing. The last band number one was in 2013, I think. So and everyone's on in-ears now. There's no amps anymore. Like everything's changed so much. It's absolutely mental in just 2 decades or a bit more. And all the different kind of problems you get from that, and all the problems we have now that people aren't really aware of, because they put together their sound at home on headphones and they play it live on headphones, and it might not be cutting through the mix at all, but they have no idea. And the people in the band that are all on the ears as well, they don't realize that either. So they could be playing gigs and like nobody can hear the guitar player because his sound the quality of it doesn't cut through in the mix, but he doesn't know that because he's on headphones. And so there's just new problems basically.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of sound these days, and it's fascinating to be on the other side as well. Sometimes I do like sound and play, and sometimes I do one or the other, you know.
Yeah. So sound for other function bands or other original bands?
Yeah. No. Only like posh, big soul bands for weddings in castles, basically.
The bands that make money.
Yeah. So, and that whole thing has changed as well. Like when I started doing function bands, it was a lot of 5 pieces and stuff, and that's pretty much gone. It's like 3 or 4 piece or big. It's like it's like the whole middle has been hollowed out.
I suppose that's because like anything you can do with a 4-piece, like a 5-piece, can be done with a 4-piece, and then you need the extras on top of that give the wow factor and whatnot for those bigger bands, right? And you've got to try and make as much money individually, and just splitting that between 5 rather than 4 is just doesn't make sense, I guess.
Yeah, and a lot of bands start to track that now, and a lot of agencies are like production companies where they have everything on track, and if they have a deaf guitarist in who's not very good, they're just like, right, let's turn him down, and we turn the backing track up with the guitar, and he won't even know. So there's it's really fascinating how it's changed so much and keeps changing. Like you got to have a massive social media presence now, and it has to be real, even though it's not real because it's on track. And you got to feed that back in so the people who look at it see that this is what it's actually going to be like. And like I was on early agencies in 2011 after the band quit, and it was just mental. Like the agency invented the band out of a band that existed, and then they duplicated it into 10 different bands. You very rarely met exactly the same people twice. It was always someone that was new. And then from that, you get like a standard repertoire, which everyone just learns these 150 songs, and that's kind of it, you know?
Yeah.
So that was a big part of when I moved away from the college as well and went online to teach. I was like, you got to like teach songs because you got to have that repertoire so you can get into these bands and, you know, get better. And I saw people who did that, and I saw people who like did a bit of teaching and just had their one band, and the ones who went and played with lots of different people, they became really good. Like it was so obvious that if you got out there and did the whole function band thing and you took it seriously, you learned the proper parts, and you played with different bands all the time, you became really good. Like it was so obvious that that's the only way. Like the ones that do a lot of teaching, which is basically mainly beginners, they almost got worse in a way, because they become more careful. They're thinking too much about what they're doing. And the ones who are out there playing 3-4 nights a week, they just sailed, off with artists, and the ones who kept doing the functions as well. So they didn't. I always stopped what I was doing and onto the new project and just focused on that new project. But the ones who stayed and still kept doing their gigs, they just became so good. Like, I know some keyboard players and sax players and drummers and stuff, and they're absolutely amazing. And it's all the same journey. It's like a bit of school and stuff, and then just gig and practice as well. But gig is first, So you have that context, because you sit at home and play scales all the time. You just get good at playing scales.
Yeah.
And more stiff and more complicated as well. So you're playing over people's heads. You're playing all these altered stuff, and the normal person just finds that annoying.
So you've written a book, and this is kind of what's encompassing in this book, right?
Yeah, because
what's the title of the book?
It's called the 12 Rules for Band Life, because I was doing so much SEO for my website that I thought I could steal a bit of traffic from Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life by inserting one word, and hopefully I'll come up in the searches. I don't know if that's worked yet, but basically I was trying to help this guy out that I'm doing sound for now, and I was trying to tell him about the steps that you inevitably are going to face. Like you had a couple of guests on the other day, and they were talking about how the bands they take on have to be dep ready, because that's the reality. You started with one drummer, but 2 years later he's not going to be around, so you gotta be ready to take on new people. So I'm telling this guy, you gotta have a pool of people, because these guys that you have now, which are your friends, they're not going to be around once the gig you booked today, next year. They're not going to be around, because one of them will have had kids and the other one's moved, and it's just the way it happens. And you need to duplicate that band, because your gig's going to be on a Saturday. So if you want to make money, you're going to have a pool of people anyway. So you might as well send out two. Every band becomes an agency in a way. Yeah. And if you could be idealistic about it, but you just be disappointed, because they're going to fuck off. The singers that you take on, they're going to be kind of all right. And then because they do 100 gigs with your band, now they're going to be really good, and they're going to have other opportunities for more money. And you are still at the same level with cash. So they move on, and now you have to have a new singer and train them up, and then they're going to leave. So it's inevitable. And so I was trying to write this list of things that's going to happen for you. And that basically became the book. Yeah. And I was doing a little tour helping out one of those bands, a tribute band. Mm-hmm. And I kind of see the whole thing moving from pubs into the whole theater scene. Yeah.
That seems to be getting big at the minute.
Yeah, and it's mainly tribute bands. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be. You just need to do something with the theme. There's bands that do 70s rock, and they just, which, that's just an indie rock band that plays at weddings. They could do that. They just have to dress it up. And if you get a booking, let's say you do that kind of style, and someone sees you at a 600 capacity venue, and they're like, we want this for our wedding, you're going to make a lot more money at that wedding than if you were just one of 150 bands on an agency that played, 70s rock. Yeah. So I think rather than doing pubs, because they see you in a pub and they'll be like, well, we don't want to pay more than this. Yeah. And you might be as good, the band in the theater might not be as good as the band in the pub, but it's about the visual thing,
It's about positioning, isn't it? And where you're positioning yourself in the market.
Exactly, yeah. And how much lights do you have at your gig? Or you just like in the corner and there's 2 sad lights blinking.
Yeah.
They're not going to want to pay as much. It's how you dress it up, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, that's where the book came from, and I really, really enjoyed writing it, actually.
Yeah.
And
did you say there's it's like a step program?
Yeah. It's like
what are the steps
different roles. So the first it's like the rule. It's based on rules. Like you can't get away from this point. So the first point is like the agent. Someone has to book the gig because otherwise there's no band. And you might hate that agent because they take your band and duplicate it, or all these lessons that I learned over the years. I'll tell it like a story of different things that have happened. So even though you might hate that agent, you're still going to need an agent, because 2 years from now, you need to be booked all the time, or everyone's going to leave for other bands,
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have that. You have to have, in my opinion, you have to have an MD. You have to have someone who's in charge of like, what are we doing? What's our identity? And they need to be in the band, You need to have at least one member. And then everyone else can change, but someone needs to like steer that ship. So if you have an agent who's not at the gig, a big mistake is often that one guy or girl is like the agent, the singer or drummer or whatever, the MD, the DJ, they do way too much, and then it's it's not enjoyable anymore. And everyone's like, oh God, here they are, and they get treated a bit weirdly and stuff. It's like them against the musicians almost. So if the agent is someone else who's not at the gig, but the MD is like the band leader who is actually at the gig, has, chord charts. It's so rare that bands provide chord charts, which seems like a simple thing to do, like horn arrangements, like written by an actual sax player, not you who play chords, like who play keyboards and you write the guitar parts. Like that's not going to work. So you got to like, take it seriously, basically. Take every position seriously. So yeah, it goes on like that. So one of them is like, can you, now that it's working, can you turn this into a show? Can you make it like something that people will want to pay a ticket for? Because if you go to like these small little towns, I did a Motown show in Alton, for example. It's like tiny little town on the, is it the A3 or the M3 or A34? Anyway, it's like in up from Southampton, that kind of way, before Swindon. Yeah. And they have like a village hall there, and they do bands all the time. So like this week it's ABBA, next week it's AC/DC, next week it's Motown, and 400 capacity, and it's packed because that's all that's going on in Alton. So and you go to the pub, there's not even one guy there playing. Yeah. So it's in the theaters, and I just feel like once you learn, everyone knows Valerie, then it gets boring after a while. But if they're playing theaters, now all of a sudden it's exciting. Yeah, so it's like you're not going to get your bass player taking selfies at Debbie's wedding, being like, "Whoa, I'm doing a gig." Maybe the first time, but not forever. And but if they're in like a theater that looks cool, they're going to do that, Yeah. And now they're going to like tag the band name. And now it's going to spread itself automatically. Now the audience are going to film you and put it up, and they're going to, the whole thing kind of takes care of itself in the end. If you just do the right things, like you have an online presence, you film your gigs, you take pictures, you just actually do it, rather than play the wedding and complain about it and how bad the agent is and how much more you should have been paid and how shit it is that you had to arrive this early even though it's not happening until then. And, this is so easy that it becomes like we meet up and then we complain about it and then we play the songs wrong and in the wrong key. And then we go, I have this other thing really, you know, but you can make this really good. Like I was on tour with the band that was doing the best that you never got released, but we were doing like support gigs with Girls Aloud and The Script, and we were playing like indoor arenas, even though the album wasn't out. And one tour we did was with, two actually, but it was with Paolo and Nutini. And we were playing these like dance halls in Scotland. So like up to 800 capacity. And they were so beautiful, you know? And I remember already then thinking like, if you had a working band that just played these venues, you'd have control over like how many gigs a year you book. It's not dependent on like the label and, you know, do you have a new album to promote? It's like you just keep going. If you're an ABBA tribute band, it never ends. You just keep going forever.
Yeah.
It's just about finding that thing that you actually want to do and take it seriously. So, that's what the book kind of became about, you know, and all the things that can go wrong along the way.
And just getting out there and learning on the road and on the stage, I guess, as well, right?
Yeah, I don't think you can learn in any other way.
Yeah.
Because you gotta, like if you're, like guitar players don't play along to records because the records are a bit out of tune. So it's really hard, you know. So you can keep tuning the guitar to every song you learn, but that'll get old really quickly. So they play to backing tracks, which is like awful. So they end up overplaying, just soloing over everything. But if you got a gig to play 3 nights a week, then you have to kind of be thinking about preparing for that. So you, instead of being practicing modes and stuff, you might practice playing to American Boy, which is, there's a rap in that, right? That most people do, but a lot of people don't. So then they have a solo instead. And those chords are like mental, you know? That's difficult. And the amount of people I hear going, oh yeah, I'll play a solo over this, and it just crashes because it moves really crazy. So you'll end up playing over that. So now you're playing in context. And if you're a good boy, you go home and you practice it after you failed, and you realize that here it needs to be Lydian here and Dorian there rather than what it seems it should be. You kind of work it out because you sit down and take your time with it rather than, you know, endless noodling over a crap backing track. Now you have the context, and now you're playing it actually in the band. And that's what I'm talking about. All the guys that became good, it's because they did it, you know? It wasn't like pretend. It wasn't like, I'm playing over a slow blues in B minor. It's like, well, it means nothing. It just means that you're going to become someone who overplays. And the longer you keep going, the more weird shit you put in because you get used to all that strange stuff. But if you got a repertoire and you got 4 gigs this week with 3 different bands, you got to just go, okay, that song, what am I doing there? And then you're like musical.
Yeah.
Rather than wanky. And they are the only people that succeed. It's so obvious. It's hilarious. Yeah. It's so incredibly obvious. All the guys that they do a bit of teaching and then they have the same function band, but they play the same songs that they have for 10 years. They're never gonna progress beyond that. They're actually gonna get worse. You see them 5 years later, and now they're like worse at playing. They should be 10 times as good.
Yeah. But
they're not, because they're not challenging themselves. They're not trying new bands. They're not learning new songs, you know. I mean, I was guilty of that myself. That's why I know it's so... I was doing this Motown band for an agency, and everyone was just complaining about how bad the agency was. That was like the pre-gig warm-up. And then you play the same boring songs, and it's like, oh, I got that part wrong, but I never really fixed it. And I hate this gig. And then something else happens, and then you just leave the band. You could have taken it seriously, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm transcribed for my website now. I transcribe songs that I used to play, And it's like, oh wow, shit, it's the wrong chord there.
This episode is brought to you by Acoustic Backs and Tracks, your go-to source for premium acoustic back and tracks that sound and feel like the real deal. Whether you're performing at weddings, recording content, or just practicing at home, it's like having a professional band right there with you. Their tracks are recorded by top session musicians with real instruments and real emotion. No lifeless MIDI here. Need something custom? They've got you covered. From key changes to mashups to exclusive tracks made just for you. Plus, their customer support is fast, friendly, and actually understands musicians. No task is too big for them. And here's the best part. Listeners of the Full-Time Function Musician podcast get 10% off their first order. Just head to acousticbacksandtracks.com and use the code FUNCTION10 at checkout. That's function all in capitals and 10 at the end, but you can find their website link and the code in the episode description. So your website is spytunes.com, right?
Yeah, so that started as a scale theory. Like, I developed a scale theory in the college when I was writing the courses. So it was like, and I came up with a name as a play on iTunes, because it's like, I was using songs to prove my scale theory. Going like, look, it's always pentatonics, but you can add the modes to it. And here's how you do that in this song, and this song, and this song. And then after like 10 years, I realized it has to be the other way around. It has to be the song first, and then what's the theory in relation to this song, rather than theory and apply it to songs.
Yeah.
Which doesn't work. It's just too... It should be music theory, not theory music. So I've for the last bunch of years, I've been just transcribing more and more songs. So when you take a course now, it's like you got 9 songs that I teach, like super deep, like 8 video lessons per song. And then I got like 100 bonus songs, which is just transcriptions of each section.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time you have to like play the keyboard part on the guitar. You have to combine 2 or 3 guitars into one. You know, how do you do this when you play live? That's the challenge. Like, so I've transcribed a bunch of Ray Charles piano parts. If you're a 3-piece band and you want to play Shake a Tail Feather, which is much more fun than to play like, you know, a standard guitar part that you just learned, hopefully correctly, but most of the time not. And how you can like just a simple song with like 4 chords, how you can just move that around the neck and learn the neck from that rather than from a boring exercise. So straight away, you can use a simple song like Stand By Me and play that all over the neck and learn loads rather than like practice a chord exercise, you know?
Yeah.
So you get context straight away. So the name started to make sense after a while. I'm trying to take all those songs that you're gonna need if you want to be a professional. Because even people who seemingly don't do this, like I did a gig when it was the drummer from The Voice house band. He plays weddings, you know, just like everyone else does, because that's the bread and butter. And for me, it's really if you're going to do this full time, it's like a starting point to get somewhere, but it's also never going to go away. And you have to do it. You can't skip it, you know?
Yeah.
You can tell when bands, even if they kind of do quite well, when they haven't done the hard work of, playing Valerie 300 times, when they haven't done that, there's just something missing, you know? And those guys who do that, I don't want to pick a name to pick on anyone, but it's quite obvious, you know? When that band is over, because all bands finish, 7 years, it seems, is like a success. What are you going to do then? Are you going to now learn Valerie, or it's better to just do it, and you can do both.
Yeah.
And then you just get a dep for when your band is doing so well and you're playing the festival and stuff, I played all the festivals. You never get paid for that. I played like I played indoor arenas with Girls Aloud, and the label was paying them.
Yeah.
It's like $5,000 a night. So that takes a long time to get somewhere there. And it's not paid work if you even get the chance to do it, you know? So you gotta go back to the pub or the wedding or the theater tour, or however far you can get on that ladder, and just keep honing away at getting good. You know, it's really, really. It's like I always try to compare it to. It's not an academic journey. You don't go to college and write essays about it, and now you can do it. It's like being a carpenter. You gotta build stud walls. You know.
Yeah.
You can't just write an essay about how to do it. You gotta saw and hammer. It's not academic. It's like, how do I adjust my amp and my pedals and my parts and play with less mute strums and less in general? And I need to add more in this song. Even it's not about what's on the recording. It's what in the context I'm in now, being musical with the people I'm playing with, making this song work. You can't do that at home. You just can't do it. You have to stand next to the drummer and be like, shit, this isn't working.
Yeah.
Can I
make some mistakes, right?
Yeah. Hundreds of them. It's almost like never ending. You got to keep doing that and then go home and fix it, you know? I use a DJ software called Serato now, where I can tune the song and I can take the chords out and remove the vocals and stuff. It's like a new AI STEM technology that's come around in the last 2 years maybe. Mm-hmm. And it's so easy now. You literally play along, you tune it, so you play along to the song, loop sections, and then you just take the chords out. So it feels like you're playing with the band, pretty much. It's as close as it's going to get. And it's a real song. It's not some backing track someone made.
Yeah.
So you can play with Stevie Wonder's band, just take the chords out. Yeah. And you'd be so much more prepared for obviously, you can't just do that, but you'd be so much more prepared. So for on the site now, I basically do that on Serato and then just record it and put a chord chart with it. So you can play the song with the original, but you can't hear the chords.
Yeah.
And you just need to do that with, 200 songs. And then you can depth with the band and you can get in there and get to know people and, you know. Don't write an essay. What's the point? You're not going to get a gig from having a degree, you know. It's going to be a case of let's try it Saturday. If they don't call you again, it's because you hadn't done it properly. You hadn't prepared properly. You weren't ready for that band, that level. Just get another one. Just keep going. It never ends.
Yeah, and never give up.
Yeah, and the people you meet along the way. I mean, there's the talent out there. It's frightening how good some people are.
One of the best things that you can do for your career is the networking. It is the building relationships. And you're only going to do that when you're out playing gigs as well, and you're joining with different bands and different for different bands and whatnot.
Yeah, and there's this WhatsApp group now. It's called What's That, and it's been going for a few years. Danny Bigland runs it, and it's like a $5 a month, and it's an endless amount of gig there. So you there's no excuses. It's all there. You just got to learn the songs, book a gig, practice, and keep going. It never ends. It's so simple. And people make it so complicated in these colleges and stuff. I mean, the guy who started that I went to, I started a band with him in the end, and because he was in an original stand in the 80s. And it turns out that the more I get to know him, the more I find out he's never played a wedding. He went from having that band to teaching.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you tell people this is how you become professional when you never done one gig? This is just fascinating, you know? I mean, he's very good at marketing, you know? And he wasn't teaching, he was running the place, you know, so you can I'll book teachers and then they're the ones who tell students what to do. So obviously, but I mean, it's fascinating. Like what's the point of going to school? It's just learn the songs and book a gig.
Yeah.
Like that's my opening line of the book is first day in music school. Like, what part of learn some songs, find a band and book a gig did you not understand? Because that's it. Like, why are you here? How long are we going to go with it? That's what you need to do before you do it. And like the fail rate, there's like, it's not 1 in 100. It's not that good of people who go to that college or any college and then become a musician. It's not that many. It's much less. They just go back to their mum, or they go and learn something else. So, and I know if you do 1 year, it's quite fun. If you do 3 years and then you still haven't done a gig, I mean, it's just like the debt you're in. They're not cheap, these places, It's fascinating. Like there's a few people when I started, because it was so little that college when I started that quite a lot of them are now professional musicians touring. Like one of the guys, he's with Architects now. He's all over the world. They're opening for Metallica.
Yeah.
And he was a guy called Ryan. He had his own band, and then he just did shitloads of different function bands. He's singing and playing guitar. He was on every agency with a different band name and like different people behind him. He was all over it. And now he's touring the world. He's probably in his 40s, Yeah. Took forever. Didn't get there by writing an essay or sending someone a copy of your degree. He got there by doing like 4,000 function gigs. And I think he actually plays keyboard and sings backing vocals and a bit of guitar in that band. It's like, I'll do whatever you want me to do. And he's playing like massive gigs. I mean, you can't get bigger gigs than that.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of your gigs. I mean, you've mentioned a couple already with like Girls Aloud and things like that. But yeah, I'm sure you've got some other good stories. So let's get on to some of your good gigs and worst gigs.
Right, so the best ones was definitely the Paolo Nutini tour, because the size of the venue is really nice for music. When it was Girls Aloud arenas, I didn't like that at all. It was just so impersonal and big, and it sounds weird. I don't like it. But theaters below 1,000. You can still play with amps. You don't have to have in-ears. It's not so small that you can't have an amp. It's just a perfect, like, I say 500 to 800. Those kind of venues. It's just a dream for music. They're actually designed for music.
Yeah.
So yeah, those tours there. That was after his first album. When he was releasing his second, was that tour there. And then he went to, he started doing like Shepherd's Bush Empire and those kind of size. And immediately I didn't really like it anymore. So yeah, that's my goal is to get back to that level with the band I have some kind of control over. And just make sure I can keep doing it at that level. I don't want to go bigger or smaller. That was brilliant. It was so brilliant. And it was so well run as well, Yeah. They probably had too many people involved, so they weren't making enough money to stick at that level. They had to go bigger because it was they had catering, massive band. He stole my keyboard player on that tour. But yeah, that was brilliant. And then I had loads of amazing wedding gigs just where you play with some incredible musicians that you'll never meet again. I did one gig in Kettering, like half outdoor kind of thing, and it ended with like the fist fights and people were like beating each other up. The bride was like swinging. But before then, we had this keyboard player who played, he was like playing jazz gigs and he played everything, I've never met him before or since. And he was playing For Once in My Life, like everything, like reading it. And then the solo is coming up and he looks at me and I'm like, you do it. And he turns the page. He hasn't played his song for like ever. He turns the page and there's a key change from F to G flat. And then there's a harmonica solo. And he just read the whole harmonica solo in G flat. It was perfect. And I'm like, oh, that was fun. Like, it's incredible. The quality of musicians.
That kind of musicianship always blows my mind.
It's incredible, mate. And you get some people who play all this like advanced theory where you're going in and out of the key, even though the key hasn't actually changed. Mainly keyboard players. And some of them do it so well that you're like, wow, I could listen to this guy all day. And then the next guy will do the same kind of concept, and it's just like, oh man, it's just dissonant and awful. So it really is down to the person doing it, their skill honed over thousands of gigs. I love that. I absolutely love it. I've got a sax player in one of the bands that I do now who's like, when they do that Ibiza sax thing before the gig, 2 hours, he's just improvising to a DJ that just plays up to him. I don't think he played one note that wasn't like amazing. It's like incredible, the skill level. And this guy's probably in his 60s, has been playing gigs his whole life. And it's just, I hear those sax players all the time, and it's always like, you can tell when they're looking for like, oh, what key are we in now? Oh, right. But this guy was just like sensational. And I love that. I don't care if it's in some 50th birthday party pub garden or a venue. It doesn't matter to me. It's about like, how good is this drummer or this bass player? I've got a bass player called Marcus in one of the bands. Completely like, it's not a well-known guy, but he's so good. I could listen to him all day. And that's the part that I like just that musicianship. Mm-hmm. And you can find that in all kinds of places, So that's my best gigs, when someone's just like really, really good.
Any negative experiences?
I had one I have this in the book, actually. I was on a gig in Birmingham with one of those agency bands that they have a video and a photo shoot and stuff, and none of those people were in that band anymore. So they were like young with braces and a hat. And we come into the gig and we're like a bit older. We all have beards, and we've been driving for like 4 hours. And the bride stands up as we're trying to like shimmy our way to the back. So we're a bit late as well. And she stands up and she points and she goes, "That's not my band." But it's so funny because, they had in the contract, the band you see in the video might not be the people that appear on the day, but that was in the fine print. And we were doing gigs like that every week where they were like, "Who are you?" And then we go backstage, and the best man's like, "So have you learned the first dance and stuff?" And we're like, "What first dance?" And they give us this song that none of us knew. So we're trying to learn that backstage, and then we go up, and terrible sound guy. And just as we try to play this thing, they turn the lights off in the venue. This is pre-iPad as well, so it's like on paper. They turn the lights down in the venue, and they zoom in on the bride and groom. You can't even see what we've written down anymore. It's like, maybe you see here. It's just absolutely horrific. But we managed to, once they get drunk enough when you play Sweet Home Alabama, they were happy anyway. But there was some really dodgy, during that agency era when it was like starting out and everyone was on lots of agencies, and it was all before people kind of knew what songs everyone need to do. There was some really bad gigs there. Yeah. But also some incredible ones,
Yeah.
And I really like it because when you go and do a gig with your own band, in the end, you know what it's going to be like musically, You know all the songs, you know all the transitions, you know exactly what works and it's just, I get really bored with that. I like it when it's like, who's this guy? I don't even know his name, but he's standing next to me playing. He could be terrible. He could be great. I like it.
So do you have a band at the minute that you're building up, or?
I do have 2 concept bands that I'm trying to develop. I'm going to start a residency once this season is over, and I'm going to build it up from there. Mm-hmm. I've overcome my RSI that I had lots of problems with, so I can start doing that again now. And I'm gonna start it with the focus of how do I get this into theaters. I'm gonna try to learn from my own book.
Yeah.
I've got one concept that is for like a sit-down audience, and one that is for a dancing audience. Because all these theaters, you have either like it's like a village hall, and you put chairs out.
Yeah.
Or it's like a seated venue where there's chairs, like almost like a cinema kind of thing. So I figured I need like one concept that works when they sit down, and one when you could remove the chairs and they can dance. So yeah, I'm trying to develop that. I've tried many times, and then other things come up, and you just kind of lose focus, and you need that agent that books the gigs. So you're like, well, we're playing next Saturday. You know, if you don't have that, then it kind of just other things happen, and you kind of lose track of it. You know.
Yeah.
So I need to find someone to kind of do it with. I've tried a few, and it hasn't been right. So I'm going to start a residency, and then I can invite people to, like, you know, sell the concept basically. Yeah.
Interesting. You'll have to have you back when that to see how that goes.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a long time, but I'm going to get back to only playing full time within the next 2 years, because I've been doing a lot of sound now, and which has been great. You know, I learned so much from it. But
that must be really good for networking as well.
Oh man, it's fantastic. I meet so many more people this way, because when you're playing, it's like once the band's working and you have a lot of gigs, you're going to be busy every Saturday with that. So how are you going to do all these other ones? So you kind of start with depping, and then you find one, and then that's it. But sound, you can have like 4 bands in a week, and you don't have to learn anything.
Yeah.
So it's been really good actually. I loved it.
Quite often the sound guy is making more money than the band as well, right?
Yeah, but they have to, because the equipment is so expensive. And that's, I mean, I was really annoyed with that when I was playing. Like my amp is more expensive than his, you know. But if you're gonna do it well, it's very expensive. And you couldn't do it on the same fee. It would be impossible. You would lose money, because the vehicle's more expensive to buy and to run, or maybe not to buy, but you know, to run. And the equipment, just like new cables and new mic stands, and it really adds up really quickly. I bought. I'd probably spend $4 or $5 grand a year on equipment, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously I sell stuff that I don't use anymore, but yeah, it's not cheap. It's really not cheap. And I think that's one of the things that I talk about in the book as well. Like, how do you improve that gig fee? You could be a DJ as well, which is super easy if you're in a band, because no one really cares about the DJ once there's a band on. They're all tired, so you're just playing a bit of background music, really.
Yeah.
But you get more money that way. You can be the MD. You can be the agent. You can be. You can buy lights. You know, if you buy lights for $1 grand, they're so much cheaper these days, and you put them up and you go, give me 50 quid for this per gig, and I'll do it. You know, I'll set it up. And it'll be so much better. And the band can charge so much more if you have good lights. Just little things like that, you know. How can you make more money doing it without being like, oh, I got to get another job? Because then, you know, you can't do lots of bands. You can do, like, one of the guys who's one of the best ones, he started doing jazz residencies. And they only make like 50 quid on a Tuesday. But because he's booking it, he charges a bit more, and then he does 2 of them, and now all of a sudden there's almost like an extra gig for all those things he does, and now he's playing even more. You just gotta like find ways to push it. It's really easy to be like, oh well, we only have this one, and it's not that well paid, and I have to arrive early, and I'm gonna start teaching some beginners, and it's down like this.
Yeah.
So you got to find a way to push it and be positive, you know?
Yeah. It's like when we had Johnny Fiacconi on the other day, and he says you got to take accountability for all the things that are happening in your band, and it's your responsibility, and just taking ownership of everything. It's not anyone else's fault. If things aren't going the way you want it to go, then you need to make them go the way you want them to go. You
got to think that, you know, the slogan today is like, it's not my fault, it's someone else. You know, you gotta reverse that and be like, everything's my fault. Like the other day, the keyboard player plugged in his cables into, instead of left and right, he plugged it into left and like aux 5 or something. And I'm checking all my cables, like, why is it only coming out on one side? And it was his fault. He plugged it into his own keyboard in the wrong output. But really, if I'm the sound guy, that's my fault, because I should check, where does it start? I just assumed that he knew how to plug his own keyboard in. But that is my fault, because it's my role to make sure the band is set up on time. So I always think everything's my fault. And I don't have to beat myself up about it. I just think it's my fault. How do I make sure that doesn't happen again? Well, there's a problem here with left and right. It's not coming out. Okay, where does it start? Oh, hang on. I changed like 4 cables before I realized it was where it started. That was the problem. And I lost 20 minutes in the sound check. Someone takes one of my 4-ways with like a USB out on it, and that's what I use to charge my the singer's wireless in-ears. So someone had taken that and plugged their own stuff in. And now I can't find it. It's my fault, because I allow people to do that, you know? So I don't do that anymore. I set up the power for you. Otherwise, it's just like a snowball effect. So it is my fault, even though he's the one who did it.
Yeah.
I think you have to think like that.
Right?
Yeah. No, the keyboard player played the wrong chords. Well, did you tell him after? Did you fix it, you know? Or did you just moan about it? He dropped out for a section where he should have played. Well, have you learned a song well enough so you can play them? Have you learned like the keyboard part? Have you learned the bass part so you can like play that with him to indicate that it should be here? You know, in a nice way. Like, how much can you do to make it work and be helpful and nice, not like put other people down for it? So definitely everything's my fault, and that's how it gets better.
So we're moving towards the end of the episode now, so we can get onto the quick fire round.
Okay.
So question number 1, what is the most effective thing that you've done to market yourself or your business?
I'm terrible with marketing, but for my website, it's definitely SEO.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's worked. I did YouTube in the beginning, but then one of my channels got cancelled and all that traffic was gone. So, I think you got to find something that consistently works and keep doing that. And for me, that's been SEO, definitely.
Perfect. What have you learned in the last 3 months that you wish you knew 3 years ago?
3 years ago. Probably to realize that everything's my fault.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
The buck always stops with you, as we just said.
Yeah.
So if you were just starting out now, what's the first thing that you'd do?
I'll get a residency.
Yeah.
Definitely.
How do you go about getting a resident?
Well, you gotta think that it doesn't matter how much it pays to begin with. It's not about making money out of it. It needs to be on a Wednesday or Thursday or something, and you need to convince people that you're going to do it with that it's not going to be any money. It's going to be like 30 quid or something, and you're going to play somewhere where there's a good footfall, so you don't have a pub being like, you haven't brought people. You know, you're paying me 30 quid, mate. You're paying me less than the dishwasher. You just gotta use it. Like I did tour with The Script, and they started out. They're from Ireland. They started out with a residency. So every Sunday or whatever, they just did the same gig. And in the end, people were coming to that. They were learning new songs. They were writing new songs, and they just never stopped doing that. So I think whatever, and I know bands that have done like, those that kind of turn pop songs into jazz songs. They did that on a Monday here in Brighton for like 2 years, and all of a sudden they were touring the world with that. Yeah. Another band did like same venue actually, did a like jazz, hip hop, funk thing on a Tuesday, and they made albums and started doing festival slots with that, because it's like instead of rehearsing, and that you need that consistency, and no one's doing anything on a Tuesday anyway, so you might as well do a gig in a pub. There's a pub scene on this Friday, Saturday. You don't want to do that. It's too messy. It doesn't pay anything, and you should be at a wedding then, or in a theater. But a residency on a weeknight, definitely.
Yeah, it's a great shout. Next question: what is the biggest mistake that you've made, and what did you learn from it?
That would be to move on from projects and just focus on the new project. I should have just stayed in them and made it work more, rather than be all in all the time. I've definitely done that way too much.
Yeah. So does that mean just not giving things enough of a chance to grow, or?
Yeah, just don't give up on it just because you got something new to focus on. Yeah, you can still do it. Just manage it. It doesn't have to be all or nothing all the time.
Yeah, that's a good answer. So last question then. Do you use any specific tools or apps to help manage your business?
I use Xero, which is a accounting software. Yeah. That works pretty good. And I use Serato, the DJ software,
you mentioned
like literally all day. It's that paired with Tidal is it's incredible. You got the whole world's music, and you can loop any section of a song, tune it, and remove the chords. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is so good. Yeah, I literally use that all day.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Cool, man.
So, where would you like people to go to find out a little bit more about you, or where can you buy the book from?
You can buy the book in any of the ebook places like Kindle and Apple Books, and I used something that put it on all the platforms basically, so that should be everywhere. I haven't done the audiobook yet. I will do that in a couple of months.
Apologies for the slightly abrupt end to this one. We had a bit of a tech issue right at the end of the recording, which cut off the last few bits. But of course, I will link all of Dan's bits and pieces in the episode description. And a big thanks to him for coming on again and chatting to me. Also, in other exciting news, I have decided to bring back the mini episodes that will take place between this season and the next one, with a different co-host this time that will remain a secret for the minute. So the premise is the same. You send in your questions or a problem in your business that you'd like some tailored help with, and we'll sit down, come up with some advice and solutions, and then go through it in a few mini episodes. We're looking for around 10 to 15 questions, and I've already gathered some over on Instagram. So don't wait around if you have something that you'd like help with, and because we'll be doing the recording pretty soon. Anyways, that's it for this one. I've got some really exciting guests lined up for the rest of the series, so keep an eye out for them. Take it easy, and I'll catch you next week for episode 10.